In this video, we're going to set up Sprout Assistant for you. In this ongoing series of automating your business, we've talked a little bit about workflows, and workflows are one of those things that you can take and you build out a workflow or multiple workflows, and then you apply that workflow to a lead or to a shoot. In your workflow, you can automate things like emails and questionnaires and tasks and things like that so that you can streamline the customer experience that you give to your clients. Sprout Assistant is one of those things that kind of just runs behind the scenes. You go in there, you can configure it, and we're going to do that today together. And then you kind of turn all these things on, and then they just run and hum along behind the scenes. Of course, you can get in and really roll your sleeves up if you want to get a little bit more granular and customize things and edit things on a lead-by-lead basis, on a shoot-by-shoot basis, on an order-by-order basis. You can get in there and do all the work if you want to. But Sprout Assistant was really made to be set up and configured once and then forgotten about. And it'll just always run in the background and always help you make sure things don't slip through the cracks. So let's hop into Sprout and take a look at Sprout Assistant right now. I'm going to go into the Sprout Assistant section. I'm going to go into settings on the left-hand side there, click automation, and then open up Sprout Assistant. So this is the Sprout Assistant section. It's nice and simple. It's really easy to work with. But don't be fooled. It's very powerful and very, very flexible. So let's just kind of do a quick tour on what all the different things that you can use Sprout Assistant for are. So each of these sections here that you're seeing, invoices and orders and booking proposals and client details, those are kind of like categories of things that Sprout Assistant can do for you. So if you open up one of those categories, you can see all the different emails that you can turn on here for Sprout Assistant. So the way that we've structured this for you is it says in, again, very plain English, Sprout Assistant will send a, and then you have all the options. So Sprout Assistant will send a reminder that an invoice is due soon, a reminder that an invoice is past due, a receipt for a pending payment on an invoice, a reminder that a payment is still waiting, a receipt for a payment on an invoice. So those are all the emails that Sprout Assistant can hook up for you specifically for invoices and orders. Down here, let's take a look at the same thing for booking proposals. So Sprout Assistant will send a reminder when a booking proposal is published but not viewed, a reminder when a booking proposal has been viewed but not signed, when a booking proposal is about to expire, or a confirmation when a booking proposal is signed. So all of these are different emails, again, that you can turn on specifically for booking proposals. And if we go down here, again, you can see more here for client details. You can see ones for dates, for reminders for upcoming dates. You can do ones for design proofs, even things like, hey, that you have published the design proof, but the client's never viewed it. So again, you've got a reminder for that. Galleries, same kind of thing. I love ones like if you have something here, a reminder for favorites that are chosen but not submitted. Or a reminder when someone adds items to their cart, but they've never actually purchased them. So that's an abandoned cart reminder. So there's a lot of flexibility, questionnaires, one page. There's a lot of flexibility. There's a lot of power of what Sprout Assistant can do. And that's where I say we try to organize it in a really, really clear way for you here. And of course, you can change things and adapt things and remove them or turn them off or turn them on a shoot-by-shoot basis, on a gallery-by-gallery basis. We're going to run through examples of that in just a moment. But really, the best thing to do is to hop in here into the Assistant page and run through top to bottom and configure them and turn them on and make sure that you're happy with it. So let's actually do that right now. We're going to open up the invoices and order one, and let's just open up the first one and take a quick little tour through what this modal looks like. At the top of the modal here, you have, again, that same language that you would have seen on the page behind here where it says, hey, Sprout Assistant, send a reminder 1 day, 5 days, and 10 days before an invoice is due. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice here as I hover over these is I can now click them. So I can actually click this and change when that reminder is going to go out. I can also remove it if I don't want that reminder to go out, or I can add another one if I want to send another reminder that I want to go out. So there we go. There's 20 days. So now you can see here, this will now send a reminder to orders and to invoices 1 day, 5 days, 10 days, and 20 days before it's due. Coming on down here, this is where you can configure the actual email. So this is where you can edit the subject line of the email. This is where you can customize the title here and the contents of the email. And these are all the variables that you have access to use down here for this specific email. So we've set all of these up for you already. So what you're seeing here is exactly what you're going to see in your account. So they're already set up. They already look great. The language is already set up well, but you're certainly welcome to hop in there and customize those if you'd like to. The other thing that you can hop in here and edit is this little button right here allows you to swap the header image. So there's a few different things that you can use here. And on some of the emails, you're going to see that there's different options in here. By default, this allows you to choose the brand email header. So if we just minimize this for a quick moment and go into branding and open up brands here and open up this. So that's going to use this image right here for your brand. And the reason that we specify it, I'm going to close out of that. The reason that we specify it here in terms of using their brand email header is because if you have multiple brands, right now we're just previewing this with one of your brands, but if you have multiple brands, it's going to choose the right image based on what invoice or order the brand lives under. So this becomes very dynamic and very flexible. So again, it kind of does all that magic behind the scenes and you don't have to worry about it. It's still going to look beautiful. It's going to look on brand. The colors are going to be right. The image is going to be right. It's just going to know what to do. The other option is you can choose automatic email header, which for orders and invoices will show something like this, where it shows how many days are upcoming until the order is due. And there's a few other options for some of the other emails that we'll go through in just a moment. So moving on from there are some theming options here. So you can choose light, which is default, or you can go into dark mode if you prefer dark, and you can use a sans serif here, or you can go into a serif if you prefer that. So there's just a couple small little tweaks there that you're welcome to adjust. So that's kind of for the most part all of the configurations that you have to do. Again, you can come in here and you can edit this, or you can click and there's formatting if you want to add things bolded or strike out, or if you want to fully edit the HTML, you can. So you have a lot of flexibility. Make sure that you use the variables appropriately and you're good to go. You set this up once, and whatever you set up here is what will be replicated for every single one of your orders and invoices. So the contents of this email will basically be copy and pasted. It'll be referenced to this unless you edit it on an order or an invoice. And we'll talk through that in an upcoming video. The last option to look up here is the little settings cog up here. Kind of run through what these all mean. Every Sprout Assistant email has this same section here. So this is on an individual email basis. So let's run through what this means. The first thing here is it live or paused? This is basically a kill switch. Do you want this email to go out? Yes or no, period. So if I say yes, great. This is able to go out. So if I add this to an order, if I add this to an invoice, it's gonna send out. If I turn it on paused, even if an order or invoice has this Sprout Assistant email attached to it, it will never go out because this is fully turned off. It's paused. So the default state of your Sprout Assistant emails is paused. So if you want these emails to go out, the first thing that I recommend doing is coming in here, configuring it, and turning it on. Now the next option here is enabled by default, basically meaning when you make a new order, do you want this email added to it by default? Now, you can turn it off on an individual order as you're making the order. That's no problem. But do you want it added by default? Again, my recommendation is yes. That's the whole power of this system, is that these tools are going to help you and help you stay organized. So turn it on by default. The last option here is, do you want to go ahead and loop through all of your orders and enable this for all of those orders? Or do you want to conversely disable it for all of those orders? Now, the difference is, let's say, for example, during this Sprout School course here, we've been obviously building orders and doing all these things. And if I actually just minimize this for a quick moment and go back to one of my orders that we've built together, we can see right here, there's Sprout Assistant. If I open that up, these are all turned off because when I made this order, Sprout Assistant was turned off, so I didn't have it available. Now, if I go in here and turn this on and say enabled by default, that basically means that if I had this turned on for this order, then great. If I had turned it on live, it would be able to go out. When I say enabled by default, great. That means that any new orders will have this email added to it. The difference is that this old order will not have it added to it. So if I want to basically go through and enable it for everything historically speaking, I'm going to want to press this enable all button. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to click enable all, and then I'm going to press the save button here, And we're going to come back and refresh this order. And as you can see, now it says 1 email as opposed to what it said a moment ago, which was 0 emails. If I open that up, you can see that that email has now been enabled for this order. So that's how you use those different toggles there in Sprout Assistant. Because there is a good deal of automation built in here, we didn't want to make any assumptions for the fact that when you turned it on, it should turn it on for everything historically, or when you turn it off, it should turn it off, or if you turn it on, that you want it on by default. So we didn't want to make all those assumptions. So we kind of gave you the control to say, hey, we have a kill switch. Do you want this to go out? Yes or no, regardless of if it's added. Do you want to add it by default to new things? And this option allows you to go back in time and enable it or disable it from everything in one fell swoop. And so you have that same level of control for every single one of these emails. So my recommendation is to hop in here to make sure that you're happy with the contents of this, make sure that you're happy with the deltas up here. We set these all up by default based on best practices, based on 15 years of running a photography business. We set up some really good practices here, but of course you're welcome to hop in here and tweak that if you'd like. Now, the other option that you have is you can click the setup button right here. If that kind of feels overwhelming for you, running through each one of these, you can click the setup button right here and watch a little video. This is the video we made when we first launched Sprout Assistant. We'll go through here. This allows you to now do this in bulk. So you can basically just say, you know what, let's turn everything on. Let's do that. Now you can click here and tweak any one of these. If you, oh, no, you know what, I actually don't want that one on, you can. But by default, they'll all be turned on. Let's click this, for example, and turn all those on. And then this now says, great, when can we do this? Do we want this to apply to existing and new items? So basically, do you want to have it on by default? And do you want to enable all? Or only new items, which is on by default, but don't run that enable all function. So let's go ahead and set it up this way. When I have this set up this way, where I have them all turned on, and I have this existing and new, what it's going to do is turn everything on, and it's going to go back historically and add these to everything that I have in my Sprout account. So let's go ahead and press all done, and now Sprout will do its work, and now everything is applied. So now if I go back over here and hop into any one of my orders, if I hop into any one of my galleries or my dates or anything like that, if I click into here, then all of those emails will now be turned on and able to be sent. Now, of course, they're only going to send when it's relevant. So if I open that up, I can see what's going to happen right here. Again, it's only going to send when it's relevant. So it's not like you're going to all of a sudden have all these emails going out when you don't expect them to. It only goes out 1 day after an invoice is due. So if it's currently 2 days, even though you just turned this thing on, it's not going to go out today. It's not going to go out right now. It's only going to go out when this specific date is met. So you are pretty safe in that it's not going to go start sending all these weird emails that you're not sure what's happening. We do have this view log button right here. And if you click that, you can actually see exactly what's going to be sent coming up for Sprout Assistant. It kind of is a bit of a preview just to better understand, oh, okay, awesome. Like this is when this email is going out. So you can kind of get a bit of an indication of what's going on there. And if I go back over here to my overview, there's also this Sprout Assistant section right here, and I can click View Upcoming Activity, and it's going to show me everything that Sprout Assistant is going to be sending coming up. So you can kind of see everything that's going on here, all the different emails that are going to be sent out. Again, these are all things that you'd otherwise have to remember and stay on top of and do manually, but this Sprout Assistant is your best friend and here to help you get things done. So you can see exactly what's happening right here with Sprout Assistant, but once you've set it up and you've configured it, it is good to go and it's going to run and it's going to help you immensely in your business. In the next video, we're going to run through how you can now get in and tweak Sprout Assistant emails on a gallery by gallery basis or an order by order basis or a date by date basis. So far, all that we've done is we've run through, we've set up our defaults, and then we've applied those defaults to everything in our Sprout account. And if we don't touch anything at this point, everything is going to run, everything is going to hum along nicely. And if you make adjustments to those templates, it will affect everything else that uses it. So that it maintains this relationship where if you make adjustments to your settings, it will apply to everything unless you edit them. And that's what we're going to do in the next video.